Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Gemology for Schmucks. My name is Peter Nelson, and I'm here to guide you in everything you need to know about gemstones. In a previous episode, I was telling you about this eternity ring. So that's a ring that has small gemstones that go all the way around it. For those who would like to hear the full story, please head over to my new channel focusing on jewelry, note, and compass, where you can see my first video on eternity rings, hand-sculpted fishtail. And that gave me an idea to answer one of the common questions that I get from you in my inbox. I get emails all the time saying, Peter, how can I invest $100, $200, $300 in gemstones? And the answer is, it's not easy. When you buy gemstones, it's better to save up and buy something more substantial than it is to buy a lot of small, knick-knacky trinket things. I mean, you do you, but I'm just saying from an investment point of view, a nicer stone sells much more readily than a lot of small, commercial grade stones. But, as I said, with this eternity ring, there is an opportunity for you to invest a small amount of money multiple times. And that is with what we call melee stones. Melee are basically small stones under about 3 millimeters in size. And these are particularly useful for things like this eternity ring or for pavé. Pavé is a style of gemstone setting that puts lots of small stones together. Now, in order to do pavé effectively, you need stones that are uniform, because each time that you drill a hole to put the gemstone into it, you need a burr that is the same size as your gemstone. If you're using a lot of different sized gemstones, you need a lot of different burrs. And you need to keep track of which stone goes in which hole. You can't just go throwing stones in willy-nilly. It doesn't work. Now, in order to accomplish this, we have something called calibrated size gemstones. That's stones with the same measurements. Unfortunately, in the gemstone trade, calibrated gemstones are not actually the same size. What they do is they take a lot of stones that are about the same size, put them into a tool that we call a sieve, which is a cup that has a plate in it of a certain size. All of the stones that are larger than that sieve size stay on the top. Things that are smaller drop through, theoretically. And so they narrow down the size of the stone, but it really only gets a tolerance of 0.1 millimeter. In order to do pavé without complete headache, you basically need a tolerance of 0.02. That's 1/5 of the size that the sieve is going to get you. So what we have to do is calibrate those effectively using a precision tool. A sieve is not a precision tool. So today what I'm going to tell you about is how we effectively calibrate gemstones. And if you want to invest a small amount of money in gemstones, what you can do is get yourself these tools. You can calibrate melee stones. And as long as you have a nice quality of melee, that is something you can take to a pavé artist and offer that to them. These are stones that are never going to expire. They're always going to be in demand as long as they need that size and that quality. So this is an opportunity for you to invest a smaller amount of money, but put in the legwork to create actually calibrated gemstones. In order to calibrate gemstones, what you're going to need is a kit. And the most important thing in this kit is going to be a gauge. And my particular favorite type of gauge is this press lever type gauge. There are the digital type and there are the dial type gauges. They effectively do the same. Some people like to see numbers run across the screen, and some people are capable of reading a clock face. Whichever one you use is unimportant as long as you get comfortable with it. Me personally, I don't like batteries because batteries always die on me when I need them to work. So I prefer things that are more manual. Now you can use something like vernier calipers, which are also quite accurate for this, but a press type gauge is a lot faster, and time is money, friend. So I would highly suggest getting a press lever type gauge if you want to do this type of work. What this allows you to do is check the measurements of a gemstone to a very close tolerance and get an idea of the exact measurements of this gemstone. Measuring up to 1/100th of a millimeter is quite easy with this type of tool. And if you are able to measure that finely, you are able to calibrate that finely, which will make your pavé jeweler friends very happy and much more likely to buy from you. Stones that are poorly calibrated bring lots of headaches and do not bring back repeat business. The next thing that we're going to need is a pair of tweezers. My favorite type of tweezers for dealing with small stones, especially in the melee size range of 3 millimeters and below, are these diamond-coated tweezers. They do not have a groove, but the textured surface makes it very easy to pick up small stones while still having an appropriate amount of traction. The tweezers with a groove that are more appropriate for larger stones are more likely to have melee shift or disappear, especially when they go pew and fly across the room. Not fun. One more essential piece of kit that you will need if you're looking to sell your stones is the carat scale. The carat scale will give you an idea of the weight. How many stones do you actually have? Because as we've discussed in other videos, gemstones are sold by weight typically, not by piece. Especially in melee, when you could be dealing in dozens or hundreds of stones, a quick and easy way to weigh them is important to have on hand. Not knowing the weight of your stones will make it very difficult to sell them. And the last thing that you will need is a plastic tray with grooves in it. These grooves allow you to place the melee and other stones face up so that you can look at them and tell their quality and color. This allows you to sort your stones more accurately, not only by size, but also by color. After all, many jewelers with a project in mind will want a very specific color. And if you have a very close color grade, as well as very close calibration of size, you get to ask for more money. So how do we actually use this gauge? How do we calibrate the stones? The first thing that we're going to want to do is take our pressure gauge, get very comfortable with it, take your tweezers, pick up one stone and put it in the gap between the pressure plate and the base plate of the gauge. You're going to want to put it face down. That's table down. You press on the gauge until it closes at the girdle of the gemstone. That's the outside hip of the gemstone. Read the number, see what it is. If you want to write it down, you can do that. Eventually, you will have a few piles of gemstones in certain sizes. And then when you have the measurements for that stone, you will move it to the appropriate pile for the appropriate size. Now, you don't want to just take one reading. Some of these gemstones are not cut perfectly round. So what you will do is open the gauge a little bit, rotate it so that the stone rotates about 90 degrees, and measure it again. If the numbers are the same, that's a good indicator that this stone is quite round. If there's a variance, then that may mean that the stone was cut more as an oval, and that will make pave very irritating. So I would suggest taking that out, putting that in the pile of miscellanea, and maybe resell it as a different parcel at some point. So now we've measured our stone from two different directions, we put it in the appropriate pile for that size, and we continue on with our parcel. Once we've measured all of the sizes and sorted these stones, I like to have a tolerance of 0.02. Anything that's 0.05 or above is very difficult to use in pave and will make your clients very upset. So my suggestion is 0.02. If you can get no variance in between the sizes, definitely charge a premium to your customers. Now, the important thing to keep in mind is that when we buy these parcels of so-called calibrated stones from our dealers, they've only been put through the sieve and the variance may be quite large. So the more gemstones of a given quality that you buy at a given time, the chances are you will have more stones in one specific, actually calibrated size once you're finished sorting them. The more you have, the more you get to sell. So there you go. If you are on a budget and you want to put in the legwork, you can add value to the so-called calibrated stones of the gem trade, while also providing a valuable service to pave jewelers. This is also an opportunity for people that are new in the trade to train their eye to the colors that are available in different types of stones, as well as the qualities. With this type of experience, you can then move on to higher value stones once you've got a larger budget. If you're interested in getting some of these so-called calibrated stones, then please head over to thegemshepherd.com where you can contact me directly and we can talk about what kinds of stones you would like to purchase. You can also acquire one of these kits that I was talking about with the pressure gauge, the tweezers, and the grooved tray. Contact me directly for current pricing and I'll let you know. Otherwise, if you've got any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, tell all of your friends about me, and until next time, bye-bye.